So, you guys remember my totally amazing, totally relevant segue that I did at the end of last episode where I just interrupted your guys' thoughtful conversation about the book and said, I have to pee, can we stop?
Yeah, I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
So while I was peeing, I was imagining, you know, in like space movies, when they like get nudged from the spaceship and are drifting away very slowly.
Like gravity.
And there's no way to help them.
Yes.
If, two big ifs.
Uh-huh.
If you had to pee and were somehow safely naked, could you piss hard enough to save your life in space? Go, Miranda.
I doubt that the output, that the output would be strong enough to push you backwards. However, it is a vacuum, so any output should push you backwards. I don't know if it would push you backwards fast enough to get you back to them before you die, but
what if it slowed you down just enough?
Yeah,
that they could
now
see you,
like hook you or something.
Yeah.
I think it's possible.
So
All right, Eddie, what do you think?
No, I think the thing that I think would cause trouble for me is nervous peeing would get introduced, which is a condition.
Oh no!
I would have
be like out there, like
everybody
singing
turn
"Happy
around.
Birthday" to yourself.
Okay,
Yeah.
Captain Kozik, we're all turned around. No, I don't believe you.
When you select Eddie in the character options and you're flipping through, it would say one of the status effects applied to character Eddie is nervous peer.
Nervous peer. In 1996, Scholastic began publishing Animorphs. Over the next 6 years, Katherine Applegate and her husband, Michael Grant, under the pseudonym K.A. Applegate, produced 54 main series books, several spin-offs, and inspired a TV series, graphic novels, and a cult following. We can't tell you where we live. We can't even tell you our last names. But we can tell you our thoughts and feelings on this series, book by book. I'm Miranda.
I'm Eddie.
And I'm Chris.
And we are the Anidorks.
These may be kids' books, but we discuss dark themes and mature content. There may also be some explicit language. Listener discretion is advised.
Eddie, I will share that I have gone to, this has happened to me at 2 MLB baseball games.
Why were an MLB baseball
a
game?
second one? I know the first one.
I go
And
to
this is
Phillies
not-
games.
this is-
This has happened to me
What?
twice.
No, are you coming out right now as someone who goes to Phillies?
Are you coming out?
I used to live next to the stadium. You would just
That
go
would
on
not
a
make a
whim.
difference for me, unless I was going for the hot dogs.
The hot dogs are cheap. The beer
So-
is expensive.
So we finished the
I'd
game.
go to a Phillies game knowing
Of course, the Phillies lost because they always lose when I'm there. Apparently, I caused that.
Are they good
I really had
otherwise?
to pee. They're really good.
I have no idea.
They're a great team.
I
Yeah,
think they're pretty good.
I think they're like really good.
They're no Mets, you know?
They don't. I don't think they like win the title all that
But they
often.
often
but
make
did
it far.
Recently, didn't
They often make it far. They
the
were definitely
World
in the World
Series.
Series recently.
Which is where
They
baseball
won the World
teams go
Series
to
recently,
die.
didn't they?
And they're not usually banging on a trash
They did
can.
not.
Sorry.
So they won in 2008. Okay,
A
so
long time ago.
that was a long time ago. You're right. They haven't
Wait, I'm
won in a
trying to
while,
remember
but
what
they're very
Doug
good.
says about the street light. After.
Oh my god.
Clanging on a street light? Sorry.
I will fucking end you both. The point is, the game ends. The game ends, and I really have to pee. And I go in line, and there's like a trough that like literally 20 people are pissing in, and I just can't calm
Yeah.
down enough to pee.
Yeah.
It's very stressful.
So you go, you
what I
act out
did,
the ritual of
I
peeing.
acted out the ritual of peeing. I left,
Oh my
got
God,
back in
yes.
line at the end of the line,
Yes.
and then tried again.
No.
All right, enough potty talk.
I sometimes
All right?
pee twice. Do you ever pee twice? Maybe that's just a me
Yes,
thing.
especially
Yeah,
when you faked
totally.
it the first time.
Yep, especially.
Potty Talk, good podcast name.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Chapter
true.
13,
All right.
I think it's
Getting
you.
back to
It starts
chapter
with you,
13
Eddie.
here on Potty Talk. Let's take it away.
Thank God my mic works now.
I thought you were going to say something else.
Just keep reading. Just keep reading. Just keep reading.
Cassie and Karen take turns sleeping in the cave while they wait out the rain. The rain finally stops in the first hours of light. Karen goes outside in search of her
This
Draken
sucks.
beam,
I have to pee again.
but it's
Keep
not
going.
there. She accuses Cassie of stealing her weapon. Cassie suggests that maybe the weapon was just carried away by the storm. Karen explains that the punishment for losing one's weapon is very painful. The fact that she lost it on an unauthorized mission, well, the punishment will be doubled.
Gonna slap both wrists.
2 wrongs don't make a right. Karen asks Cassie to help find the weapon. Cassie says, fuck right off. Perhaps if Cassie
seriously.
found it... Yeah, seriously, the nerve. Perhaps if Cassie found it, the Yeerks would go easy on her. Cassie asks what the Yeerks going easy on her might look like. Would Karen get to infest Cassie rather than someone else? Karen is disgusted by the idea of infesting another young girl. Too weak, Karen says. Too emotional, describing their heads as being too filled up with. Cassie notices that Karen doesn't finish her thought. Cassie says, well,
Go on.
Continue. She wonders if the Yeerk inside Karen is bothered by the little girl's thoughts. If that was the case, could there be doubt within the Yeerk? Could a Yeerk be turned? And if so, how?
Cassie asks if Karen enjoys mushrooms and offers to forage some for both of them. Then she asks about Karen's life. Karen is suspicious, asking if Cassie is trying to win her over. Cassie asks if it bothers Karen that her host does not hate her. Doesn't it bother Karen that she has enslaved a child? Karen says that nothing bothers her. Slavery is a human concept. Cassie asks if it bothers Karen to hear her host crying inside of her mind, begging to speak to her mother, even just to tell her mother that she loves her.
Karen says that her host hates her. She knows everything that her host thinks and feels. Karen knows that the little girl wants her dead, that she imagines torturing her. Holy shit, this book is dark. Karen asks if knowing that makes Cassie feel superior to her. Cassie asks to speak directly to the real Karen without Yeerk interference. It works both ways, Cassie says, doesn't it? You can feel her emotions, but she can feel yours as well. Is that it? She knows what's going on inside your mind. So what is it that she really feels towards you? It's not hate. It's pity, isn't it? She feels sorry for you. Karen tells Cassie that they'll see how well Cassie controls the hate once she is Visser 3's puppet.
She hates me. She wants me dead. Can.
Yeah, Crimea River. Yeah, yeah.
But, imagine living with someone who's imagining your death at all times in your brain, and you can just see that.
Dude,
honestly,
just
that's...
break up with them.
That's just intrusive thoughts. Wait a minute.
Yeah. Just break up with your intrusive thoughts. With my 10 Steps book series called Break Up with Your Inner Hater.
This is what made you so good for being Yeerked, Chris, I think.
Yes, because
God.
me and my Yeerk work together.
You cannot shut out my intrusive thoughts. A Yeerk would hate to be in my brain. They'd be like, why are you driving so slow? And it'd be like, I don't know. It keeps telling me to drive into the river, and I know I shouldn't listen to it, but it just seems really convincing.
I had practice being Yeerked when Eddie and I would go on drives, and Eddie would be like, oh my God, what if somebody just fell off that building? It's like the...
So I think we all have sort of alluded to this leading up to now, last episode, and even a little bit the episode before. This slavery as a human concept as a line is so... It really threw me for a loop because
it's pretty...
I feel like...
It's a live wire.
I feel like we've seen Axe say it. But Axe had that encyclopedia of human history, so I don't know, maybe Axe was comparing it to something. That doesn't seem right, though, does it? The Andalites seem to say, and I didn't do a lot of searching on this, but I don't know if they used the word, but the feeling seemed to be that the Yeerks enslaved people. And, what the Arn did with the Hork Bajir, if
Oh, well, let's not. I mean
that's even a step farther. But to say that slavery is a uniquely human concept seems wrong.
Yeah, it's just, it feels like it's splitting hairs. It's like, I don't care what you call it. Like, what you're doing is not consensual.
Right.
Like, it's like...
I think this is just something that Karen is saying to combat Cassie in this moment in a debate. Like, I think that's what's happening.
But do we think that's Yeerk propaganda? Do we think that's something that, like, the Yeerks who
like
are...
that's a prepared line.
And, like, the Yeerks who are being put into humans, they're like, you're going to get history about a particular type of thing that humans did, and you need to know that it's completely different from what we do.
You're so right. That's got to be
We know this is... I think there's something here because later, I don't think it's this chapter, but Karen will not be able to bring herself to say slave master or something like that when talking to, and Cassie finishes the thought for her. And it seems like that's what Karen doesn't want to have to say because she doesn't want to have to engage with the debate on those terms. So,
but it's so, I don't know. It's just the thing about like the idea that slavery is a human concept seems so clearly wrong that it has to be fake propaganda. But like, what would that mean as a reader of the book as a child? And like, this is just a hypothetical. As a child, if you were to take that on its face because you didn't have the critical thinking to, or just the memory to know that this has been addressed in other books.
But you're a human child.
What would you see if you read slavery as a human concept? Like, what would that mean to you? Like, because
what would it mean at all, though? Because it's like aliens don't exist. Like,
that's true, but there are, and I, as a child, you wouldn't necessarily know this unless you were me. But there are ants, or is it wasps, that like fully pilot like they take over, like the corpse of, or not even corpse. They let it live, and then they can like pilot a body and like do something with another insect.
I don't think like. Maybe it's just that, like, a parasite or something like that, like, you really can't bring... Like, the ethics of this conversation come in with the sentient qualities of the Yeerks.
Yes.
Like, that is where, like, this distinguished...
The ethics of being a parasite at all, if you come into a sentient creature, it, like, goes way back to the idea of Cassie and not wanting to morph the dolphins.
Yeah, right.
It's like all the way back to, okay, if we assume the Geds aren't sentient, which doesn't seem to be true, but like if you assume that the Yeerks' early hosts weren't sentient, then maybe they don't feel bad because they get in there and there's no pushback.
Yeah.
But by the time they start to get into things that are pushing back, they've been getting into more and more creatures and they've convinced themselves that it's the right thing to do.
Right.
And that it's completely different from this idea that humans have of slavery. And I don't know.
Yeah, because, well, I have two thoughts with that. So the first is that when just imagining this hypothetical child reading in the 90s, reading Animorphs, getting to this book and reading that line, I feel like the education that, because we the three of us were educated in the 90s, I feel like you have a child's going to have a very loud reaction to anything about slavery because one of the few things that they know probably is
that's bad.
Slavery is bad. And you feel it on like an emotional, palpable level, right?
Yeah.
And then you're having someone tell you that's a human construct? Is that what they say?
Concept is the word they use. But like the idea, and I don't know if as a child I would have extrapolated that meant humans made it up. But like that's such a thing to take on, this idea. And this idea that your species created this horrible thing.
Yeah.
Well, but that is true for us experientially.
It's true.
The problem is that like humans did enslave other humans.
And we made it up. Right. No other animals we saw did it.
Exist. Well, but it's not like we went around looking to nature for ideas.
No, I just mean combating that this early in your life as an 8 to 10 or 8 to 12-year-old who is the
just to finish
target. Oh, sorry, go on.
Right. Just to finish the thought, like it's like I think it's almost it's like a non-starter in reality, because it's like, well, you are all humans. Yeah. Like it being a human concept doesn't really take the piss out of it like she thinks it does.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
It was the way in which it would take the piss. It's like, it would be like if someone from the South said like, slavery, that's a Yankee concept or something like that. That's when it would get weird and confusing. That's a good point. But saying it's a human concept.
The thing is, we know that the Yeerks development, as far as we know, the Yeerks development was that they infested the Ged. who they don't view as... The Ged were a stepping stone in their minds to other species, even if they don't want to.
We'll never know.
And
right. In their mind,
about
history.
They talk about it almost like they enriched the Ged's lives. They're like, the Ged weren't doing anything. They weren't starting anything.
The Ged were not getting nearly as much out of that dynamic as the Yeerks, who could suddenly see, even with poor eyesight, and they were thrilled by it.
Yeah.
And so the Yeerks there's no denying, I think, that the Yeerks were getting a lot more out of that, because the Yeerks don't even really answer what they were bringing to the Ged.
Nope. They talk about it like the Ged were an object that wasn't getting used. They're like, the Ged wouldn't have done anything with themselves if we hadn't picked them up, which is such an awful, awful thing to say.
Yeah.
And such a colonialist mindset.
Yeah.
And yet slavery is a human concept.
Yeah. Because they're fun. Yeah. What they have to justify is why they get to see on some level. It feels like that's what's happening there. And so I kind of feel like it's hard to trust anything that
no, nothing they say is trustworthy, and that's fair. But I don't know, that line hit me really hard.
No, I get it. Yeah. Because it is a very loud thing to introduce in a book being read by children.
And I try to put those eyes on when I read these books, and unfortunately I can't take them off sometimes when I read other books, and I get very upset.
What was the relationship between the Chi and the Pimalites? Did that involve involuntary?
It was not
labor?
Okay. So I think what you're remembering possibly is that the Pimalites created the Chi to be workers for them, but they were androids that were like computers and maybe sentient. But they did help build the pyramids, and they acted like it was a fun thing to take part in, and that was definitely not.
Yeah.
So
great.
There's a thing in Deep Space Nine. There's a alien introduced called the Trill. I think we've talked about this before. The Trill are remarkably similar to like they almost seem like some kind of ethical Yeerk.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So
or ethical with an asterisk.
Yeerk.
But
sure. Yeah. But so there's this humanoid species called the Trills. They live on this planet, and some of them get honored to take in a symbiont. I think I'm pronouncing that right, inside their bodies.
I think it might be symbiont, but I'm not sure.
It's spelled symbio-nt, S-Y-M-B-I-O.
Yeah, I can't remember how exactly they say it.
So anyway, you take it in, and then that thing kind of gets to drive your body. And it has but it's like a ritualistic kind of like built into their religion kind of thing. But it is remarkably similar, because it's like in the society, it's like this, it's kind of like this exalted thing where it's like you're important because you've been chosen to take on the thing. Hear exactly like how people feel going into that, like if they were pressured or coerced.
Yeah,
or if it's
the one example that you see does seem to be someone who is excited to do it, and does seem to imply that there is a level of difference, not quite to the level of like a doctor regenerating, but sort of in that vein where it's like it's the symbiont inside them is who's driving now, but there is a level of the person they're inhabiting that is changing who they are.
And I guess the reason why I'm bringing this up is like, it's like, we know that they watch a lot of Star Trek, so
it's
there's
true.
That. And then like, I'm not saying they stole the idea. I'm just saying like...
But it's the air that they're breathing while they write this. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. And then the thing that's interesting about it is like, looking to nature, I think it's like, the idea of symbiotic is sort of like we perceive these two things as being in some sort of balance. Mm-hmm. But like to say that one thing is good in nature versus another thing in nature is like not really a sensible analysis of what's going on. And so in that regard, it's like the sentience, it's like the book is confusing, and the books are often confusing because they'll say like, you know, an animal isn't trying to like do something mean, but then they're programmed to kill the weak. And it's like, it's like you're still, the books like are both like animals are animals, humans are humans, but there's so much, and it makes sense in a book called The Animorphs, there'd be a lot of anthropomorphizing. Yep. But like,
ants are bad.
It's just like, ants are bad.
Horse is good.
It's confusing. It's like, some part of me is just trying to say that this is very philosophically muddled.
Yes.
Like it's very unclear what the books actually think about this debate. Well, it's clear what they think about it, but it also makes a little bit of nonsense.
Yeah.
It makes nonsense and sense at the same time.
Because really, it's character-based at the end of it.
Yeah. And it
Yes.
complicates the issue with things that aren't real, which makes it very hard to determine a stance because they're not real. So, like, it's like, how would I feel if this were real? I can guess, but, like,
I don't think
it's not real.
I don't think that. Yeah, and I'm not trying to say that we can't reason about the ethics of the thing. I'm just trying to say it's like. Yeah, I'm not sure what I'm trying to say. It's very confusing.
Can I introduce a different thing that I just want to hit from this chapter?
Yeah.
We've seen this before, so this is nothing new. But something that matters here that we saw in Hork-Bajir Chronicles recently is that the intimacy, and I'm saying intimacy in search of a better word, but there is something, the Yeerk, when they infest a creature, they access every part of that creature they're infesting. But the infested consciousness also accesses the Yeerk and gets their memories.
I think she says it's like it's a two-way street, or so. It works both ways, is what she says. It's an open connection,
right?
So it's leaving them vulnerable in addition to giving them power,
which is interesting, just because that dynamic is completely about control, and yet a bit of control that they give up in that moment is that the infested creature will also know, like for Aldrea in Hork-Bajir Chronicles.
I was just going to say, it goes back to that.
She learns the entire Yeerk perspective, Esplin's perspective on that story in that moment where she is infested. And it's not even very long. I think it happens for like a second, basically.
It's very short. He's not even fully in her brain. He yanks him back out of the ear canal.
Yeah.
It's so interesting. I think that's why, like, my thoughts were so unstructured a minute ago, is because, like, I know that I'm living in a future and I'm very privileged to be here where, like, me and my Yeerk have just worked it out and really balanced everything.
Yeah.
And like, I'm just...
#goals.
I guess maybe I'm just, like, just struggling to understand where they're coming from in this book.
I'm
joking.
Is K.A. listening to our podcast and then going back in time to rewrite the books to satisfy and complicate our reading of the books? Is that not a type of the same kind of dynamic? Yeah.
It
is.
She's kind of like the Yeerk in our brain.
Yeah.
Well, she is definitely, she's the little Yeerk on my shoulder.
No.
No, I mean, I mean, like, what's a Yeerk? You know, when you call me on the phone, I hold the phone up to my ear, Miranda.
That's true.
And you're telling me things about your day and controlling my thoughts.
And when you do that with me, I am actually trying to reach through the phone into your brain, Chris, but I'm not.
I feel it.
Yeah.
It feels itchy. I just clean my ears as a result to make it easier. Yeah. All right. Shall we? I don't know how to
14?
construct any of those big thoughts.
No, there's a lot of big thoughts in that, and
it
gets swept over very quickly because she's like, "We'll see how philosophical you feel when your Visser 3 is puppet."
Yeah.
Ooh, I get to be his puppet. Chapter 14. Cassie and Karen spy 2 deer. Doe, a deers. Does, a deers. 2 female deers, a mother and a fawn. Karen mentions Bambi. Cassie says that she loved that movie. Karen shares that her host did as well. Weird flex. Karen's Yeerk doesn't understand why humans make everything so sentimental. It's an animal, she says. So what? Cassie admits that she has been feeling that way lately as well. Everything she used to love and care about, it all bores Cassie lately.
Karen says that makes sense given that Cassie has power now and uses it. Cassie may have been an ordinary kid once, but she fights and kills now. Doesn't it make sense that ordinary life bores her now? How could anything compare to battle, which makes Karen's Yeerk feel so alive? Cassie says that she hates battle. Sometimes she is prey, sometimes she is predator. How can one experience life as a predator and still believe that all life is sacred?
Karen's Yeerk says that they have people like Cassie. Yeerks who oppose war, who won't take unwilling hosts. She knows that Andalite propaganda says otherwise, but Yeerks aren't all the same. It's just easier to believe all Yeerks are evil because then they can flatly declare that no Yeerk deserves to be free, to travel the galaxy. Cassie tells Karen that she knows about Zero and how he helped the Yeerks achieve space travel. Karen confirms this. He was the one good Andalite, Karen says. She adds that there are many good Yeerks. Karen asks Cassie if she knows what life in the Yeerk pool is like. She tells her,
"We are born with 100 or more sisters or brothers. We don't hatch from eggs, and we aren't born the way the mammals are born, either. 3 Yeerks join together. They literally join together with 3 bodies becoming one. Then that one body begins to fragment. It breaks up into smaller pieces. Grubs, they're called. Bit by bit, the body disintegrates, and each grub that falls away becomes another Yeerk. Sometimes there are twins, 2 Yeerks from one grub. The parent Yeerks die, of course."
Cassie doesn't react to any of this. That surprises Karen. But Cassie has studied many animals. It's hard to shock her. Karen continues, "In our natural state, we have an excellent sense of smell. We have a good sense of touch. We can hear. We can communicate using a language of ultrasonic squeaks. So cute. But we cannot see. We are blind until we enter a host."
Karen tells Cassie what a miracle it is to be blind and then to see. She scoops up a caterpillar from a leaf and asks Cassie if she can imagine going from something like this to something that can see flowers and birds flying. How could Cassie hate her for wanting that experience for herself? Humans live on the most beautiful planet in the galaxy and take its wonder for granted, Karen says.
I just am imagining that wouldn't all Yeerks just stand in dark rooms and turn the lights on and off and be like, the wonder.
That's why they
Cassie
leave the TV
says-
off, maybe? So they can
Cassie says that she doesn't hate Karen. Karen ignores her. She asks if Cassie believes that the Yeerks should just go back to the Yeerk pool, leaving control of the galaxy to the Andalites. Karen says, "There are those of us who wish it could be another way. That there was a middle choice between being slugs beneath Andalite hooves and..." But Karen can't bring herself to finish her thought. Cassie finishes the thought instead. "Slate masters," Cassie says. Karen doesn't become upset by this word choice. She simply asks Cassie what she would do in her shoes. Would she choose to live as a slug? Before Cassie can answer, the leopard returns. It attacks, aiming for Karen's throat. Thank God.
Dun, dun,
Yeah,
dun.
you see, this is why you were, I'm not saying you were complaining, Chris, but you were saying they take on these weighty philosophical topics, but then they don't conclude thought. And it's because there is a leopard on the loose.
This one's not as weighty.
No, I know, but I'm saying that that's the reason before is because they never know when the leopard's going to attack.
That's true. You never know when the leopard's gonna...
She's definitely giving, like, you know, like when you're talking to someone about how bad capitalism is and they're like, "So you want a world with no sales? You want a world with no Instagram
Have you thought about
ads?
that?
Have you thought about that?" It's like, yes,
Oh,
I
you
have.
don't
I
like?
love
You
that.
hate Spotify? Having an
You
entire
hate that
library
they keep
of
picking
music?
your new favorite song?
You want to
Yeah.
wear all the same clothes as everybody else and not get to choose cool clothes? Yeah, I think it actually might be simpler if everybody had to. You know, it's
Oh
fine.
my God.
It's fine.
But that's also a myth too.
Yeah, I can make my own clothes, actually.
Yeah.
It's interesting to hear Karen say Ciro was the one good Andalite and
I like that.
but I like it, but knowing that the Yeerks betrayed him. Like they acted without his approval, consent, or consideration and stole shit from his people.
I'll tell you what if Ciro just lied to everybody else?
That's
what if
true.
Ciro actually was a
Or what if
conspirator?
the Yeerks are saying that Ciro specifically helped elevate them? He didn't just like give them the information, he approved of what they were doing. I don't know.
Is it?
We'll
Don't
never
you
know.
think that if you find yourself saying, yes, he was the one good, and you maybe have to, just saying that causes you to sit with it and like, well, probably there might have been a second.
in the
We're gonna
modern
get there.
in the modern
We're
era,
gonna get
that
there.
is a yeah. That is.
I will say it's interesting to listen to Karen describe like, oh yeah, no, our life in the pool would be fine actually if we didn't know what sight was like. Is basically what she's saying. She's like, we didn't feel, it's like everything's great until we learn that we're deprived of something. Like we don't feel
I'm
deprived until we find out that other things can see.
I get it.
And-
They're depraved. Yeah,
on the count of they're deprived.
Right. Yeah.
So take them to a head shrinker.
Do you think in
Well, but the size of the head does seem to be important.
yes? Do you think in Yeerk Chronicles, which I believe is a book in the series, right? No. We get to hear about how they were like, how they stumbled into that first Ged's head.
I hope it's in Visser. I really want to know the first Yeerk to enter a Ged's
And
like mind.
how-
Like
Yeah, and how did then, because we know I know I'm asking the wrong questions right now. We get from the Yeerks weren't all in one pool to begin with. So then how was it transmitted to the other Yeerk pools? Like
I think Karen says that
Probably
there's some way to. Does she say they
spoon.
can communicate from pool to pool?
All right. So
It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
We can put a pin in that. We'll talk about that on the analysis episode.
Yeah.
There's so much. The caterpillar, great foreshadowing.
Very good.
Really beautiful moment where like she picks up the one example of something that transforms.
Yeah.
And like it's like, nice, K.A. I dig that.
Yeah. Do you think she was keeping an eye on caterpillars that she saw throughout the events up to this moment?
Just waiting for the moment to make her speech.
Well, they kind of look like little Yeerks.
They do.
You know? It's like,
cuter or less cute than Yeerks?
Depends on the kind of caterpillar.
Yeah.
Depends on the caterpillar.
The fuzzy ones,
The
cuter.
fuzzy ones. Cuter than
cute.
Yeerks. I'm sorry.
Cute. So
But
cute.
if Yeerks had fur, maybe things would be different.
Oh my God, they'd be so cute.
Yeah.
They could have fur.
The fuzzy wuzzy Yeerk.
I love the parenting conversation just as like a complete outside the box.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh man, like how would you relate to your fellow Yeerk in that situation? Like, you know, it's like, and then also like just the built-in unconventionalness of it.
Okay, I have a question. Karen says that her parents are probably worried about her.
And they're all dead. Yeah, she's wrong.
I think
I
she
thought about that
slipped
too.
up and had a Karen thought, not a Yeerk
be.
who lives in Karen thought.
She might have been talking about like
She might have been talking
she might
about
have been
Karen's
talking about
parents, and then when
Karen's
Cassie
fears.
asked, she was like, "Of course Yeerks have parents. What's fucking wrong with you?" And then when she finally
took
explains
the
it, she's like,
driver's seat back.
"Yeah, we do have parents, but they die creating
They
us,
just
so they are
die."
not waiting at home." Actually,
Yeah. I was like, did she call them? Did she call them back? Did she call their hosts? Like, yeah, I mean, just the constant like slippage that occurs between. It actually even made it tricky to write these summaries because sometimes it feels really important to clarify Karen's Yeerk if she's referring to the little girl who she's inhabiting. Like that slippage is something that.
and she hasn't. The Yeerk hasn't been named yet, as far as I'm aware. We do learn the Yeerk's name, but like so far. Not
yet,
so far,
right.
but so far we have not been given a name for the Yeerk. We just know Karen and Karen's Yeerk.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just like Aldrea's mother. and what's the other one of that? It's like Beowulf's mother or Grundle's mother
or Grundle,
or something like
I don't
that.
know.
Grundle, the mother of Grundle. Yeah, or some Grendel.
Grendel.
Yeah.
Grendel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Not
the Grundle
Grundle.
might be
Jesus
another name for the
Christ.
space between the balls and the
It's
anus.
a taint. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the mother
Which sounds
Grundle
like
is from which
something-
we all come.
The tape sounds like something that should exist in Animorphs as like where the taxons are from.
Yeah, the living hive should have been called the Grundle.
I want to talk about the Yeerk pacifists really quickly and what.
Oh yeah, they get mentioned.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, and also this middle option. I feel like maybe Karen used to be more in this. I feel like as a Yeerk, she maybe had a rebellious stage and she put aside those childish things and took a corporate job as a
Oh, that's so not the vibe I get from her.
Really?
That's so
I get the
not
vibe that at least she knew some people who went down this path. I don't know that she was on the path herself, but like she knows about this path.
Yeah.
And
that
now
path was
she's
an
starting to
option for
consider
her
it.
at some point.
I wonder if the
I don't
Yeerks
know
had
that
shown
it
up.
ever. Yeah.
If the Yeerks had shown up, and I don't want to spend too long on this, but if the Yeerks had shown up, said, "We are the Yeerks. We would like something you consider a non-sentient species to inhabit." What do you think the humans would have done?
I don't even want to talk about it.
That's fair.
Because
I
it's
just think it's an idea.
I just like, it is a good idea, and I don't mean to shut it down, but it's like, I don't even know where you start because it's like, look how we treat animals on a whole.
Very
So
good
suddenly
point.
we'd have,
How
like,
could we
talking
promise we
cows.
weren't going to eat them?
I know, right? Like, and it's just like once you get into this, you realize that we're just horrible, horrible monsters
very
who
true.
don't even treat each
You
other.
know,
well.
This is the Yeerk speaking, Chris. We get it. Like,
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. This is Chris's Yeerk speaking.
I thought about this way back when Karen said, "We see you as pigs, oink, oink," when Cassie was like, "We're not pigs, we're not, food or whatever." She didn't say we're not food, but that's kind of implied. And I think it like dovetails again really nicely here where like Karen's like talking about this and the pacifist Yeerks. I'm like, why didn't Cassie bring up that there are vegetarian humans?
but
who
she is a
disagree-
vegetarian.
That she's a vegetarian, who disagree with the way that large, industry, meat production is run. They actually don't like it. They have a problem with it. They think it's ethically not good. And I feel like they could have bonded in that moment, but she didn't bring it up. But maybe she was right. She was probably right. It wasn't the time.
Well, they were both so hungry that they were just like,
very
well,
true. They would have just started
yeah.
talking about, bacon and stuff like that, which I personally don't like, which is a fun fact about
God,
me.
you're making me hungry.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go
Chapter
to
15.
Chapter 15.
The leopard lunges at Karen. Neither Karen nor Cassie has time to react, but an osprey intervenes instead, attacking the leopard's eye before flying away. Where'd he learn that? Karen is still knocked to the ground by the leopard. Cassie lunges at the leopard and is knocked down as well. The osprey attacks once more, but this time is knocked out of the air by the leopard. This leopard is fucking killing it. Cassie begins to morph into a wolf. Oh, she was still a girl. Shit. Cassie begins to morph into a wolf as the leopard approaches Karen. The leopard bites Karen's leg, her poor little baby leg, where it is attached to the splint, and Karen begs for help, telling Cassie that she'll let her go if she saves her. Cassie looks to the osprey. She knows that is Marco in morph, and that'll be okay. He's already recovering from the ground. But Karen would be dead any moment. Cassie finishes morphing into a wolf and growls at the leopard. Cassie doubts that she can beat the leopard one-on-one, but then she hears Karen begging for her life again. This time, Cassie realizes it's the real Karen begging, the little girl, not the Yeerk inside of her. Wolf Cassie and the leopard brawl. Cassie knows that she cannot win this fight. She's never been so unmatched in combat, even against the aliens she has fought. Cassie asks Marco for help, though she is not sure if she has even recovered enough to join the fray. Cassie could flee and leave Karen for the leopard, but she wouldn't just be leaving the Yeerk. She'd be sacrificing the human girl as well. Fortunately, Cassie doesn't have to decide. Marco finally joins, not as an osprey, but as a gorilla. The leopard knows that it could take on one of them, but not a wolf and a gorilla combined into some sort of weird transformer. The leopard flees.
Cassie's fourth murder attempt
Yeah.
as Karen's lawyer.
I know.
This is the fourth murder attempt.
My
we've
only note about
witnessed.
this chapter is that she states that they're both about 150 pounds, and that would be really big for a leopard. Some leopards are that big, but it really depends on how much food they have access to and what subspecies of leopard they are. And it's very uncommon. And Cassie, as a female wolf, is unlikely to actually be 150 pounds. So all my notes were
Nowhere
strictly
close.
factual about this,
Yeah.
but possible. It's possible for a wolf to be that big. Unlikely for a female, but that would be on the pretty big end, but not record-breaking for a leopard.
Can we briefly imagine what's happening on the Marco end of things just before this happens?
Oh my God.
Is he within thought speak? He's not within thought speaking range with any of the other
Cassie's
animals.
a human, so she
Well, it's
can't
sort of-
thought speak, but he could thought speak to her. That's a good point. So he can't be. He'd have called out, surely.
Yeah.
The
Right.
thoughts that Marco might have upon arriving upon this, a leopard that he actually maybe didn't even know was out unless he saw the news. Cassie,
He's always watching the news. We know
that's true. He's a
taping
news
the
hound.
news.
Cassie
He's a news hound.
morphing in front of a human, but at this
Big,
point,
sexy news.
he has no reason to think this isn't the first time she's done it and that it was done specifically to save her. And she's a little girl. We can probably work this out because everybody knows about Cassie's magic dog talking to Gump, telling him to not trust his father. It's what helped him almost
She's
win
made a habit
Survivor.
of it. Yeah.
But at this point, he probably just thinks Cassie's morphing to save the little girl. We're going to figure it out later. And before this, I think he just found them. Found them.
And it's not long after he intervenes that he gets smacked out of the sky. But he probably could have
Correct.
said something.
I don't know that. Yeah, I don't know that there's a lot to the meat of it yet. He's probably act first, figure it out later. Yeah, I agree.
That's a very Marco tactic. Not always, but sometimes.
Sometimes
He's
in
chatty.
this case,
It's true.
Okay.
it's true. Shall we
Chapter 16?
finish this
Chapter
out?
16?
Let's do it.
Upon scaring away the leopard, Gorilla Marco jokes in thought speak to Wolf Cassie that they'll now have to explain to this little girl why a gorilla and wolf are working together. But Cassie is already demorphing to help Karen. Marco panics, wondering what Cassie is thinking, demorphing in front of a human. But Cassie explains that the little girl already knows. Cassie whispers to Karen that if she wants to live, she'll need to hide what she really is from Marco.
Want to live.
I have an idea, Marco says, in thought speak. How about telling me what's going on? You disappear, your parents are both losing their minds from worry, we all go looking for you, and now here you are whispering to this girl. Marco leaves for a moment, saying that he'll return as his cute, lovable self. This part confused me. While he's gone, Cassie treats Karen's leg. She tells Karen that Marco has no sympathy for Yeerks, and his morphs could easily destroy Karen, so she had better listen. Karen is confused why Cassie is protecting her. Didn't she just almost let Karen get eaten by that leopard? But Cassie doesn't answer, telling Karen instead that with the bite from the leopard, she risks getting gangrene in her leg, which could lead to amputation. Karen replies that it's bad enough being in a little girl's body, but to be in a permanently injured little girl's body, Cassie is in disbelief at this statement. She says, "What do you think you've done to her? She's already lost both her legs and her arms and eyes and voice as well." Karen doesn't understand why, if Cassie is so disgusted by her, she doesn't just kill her. Cassie says that she is protecting the little girl whom the Yeerk has infested. Karen says that Cassie is trying to turn her, referring to the Yeerk inside of Karen, and Cassie says that she is actually trying to save her. "You want to make peace, don't you?" Karen says. "You want to find a way to stop us without having to get your hands dirty. You want to defeat us without having to kill us. It's almost sweet. It is sweet and naive and foolish and utterly, utterly futile." Marco returns to the scene as an osprey. He says that he actually agrees with the Yeerk for once. "There's no peace with parasites," Marco says. "You don't turn them around, you bury them."
Damn, dude. I know it was doomed to failure, but I wanted Cassie's plan to work so bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you want to
So bad.
And now I wonder what Marco's thinking about this situation. Now I'm like, okay, so why is she trying to turn a Yeerk? Like, how did she get close to this Yeerk?
And like,
what's going on?
I understand on some level, like Marco would normally be like, open to Cassie being like, "Look, it's inside a little girl. I was trying to buy myself time." If Cassie had come with the "I'm trying to buy time" explanation, I think Marco would have taken that to some extent. But she doesn't really, I mean, she doesn't get a chance to explain here. But like, that's not what she was doing. She was genuinely trying to sort of broker peace. If not between the peoples, at least between herself and one Yeerk. One Yeerk could be the difference. You know what I mean?
Which would then help her. I think it would satisfy a belief that Cassie wants to have about the world, right?
Yeah.
And about this war, that there's a way beyond violence, like some kind of, even if it's with this one Yeerk, that can kind of...
Even if it's not everywhere, even if you can't apply this nonviolent solution to every situation, that there are some situations that you can solve and still keep your morals about trying not to kill people intact. Now, on a completely unrelated note, I do want to say she gets to bandaging Karen and she rips off pieces of her morphing outfit to bandage her. And Cassie has done this so many times. I want to know how she's explaining to her parents how she needs more money for these morphing outfits. Like she's ripped off so many pieces of clothes to like bandage.
She learned that
people.
from Rachel in Megamorphs too.
I think Cassie already did it in book 11. I think it had already been done, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
It's a go-to. But it's hard to have bandages on hand when you have no place to put
That's
them.
True.
So, really,
if only we had a morph bladder or something of the sort.
that we could shove our shoes and bandages into.
Yes, it would be perfect.
Yeah. Man, I didn't realize how many callbacks we were going to get into.
Well, this is a book filled with callbacks, so why not have our own callback?
Really is.
Yeah. I mean, and like, big sexy news. I always wanted to have the free time.
I think in episode 1 of this book, we called back to our episode 1 of this book. We called back to the dog food that Jake smelled, or no,
That's
Tobias
right.
smelled in his.
We made a chapter
Purina
7
with
joke
no
in
table
episode 2
scraps,
as well.
unlike me.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, Karen says, little girl Karen tells the Yeerk infesting Karen that Marco looks like Curious George. There's no way that she could make...
Gorillas and chimpanzees, very different. She's never seen King Kong?
Yeah.
Probably not.
You don't think she's ever seen a picture of King Kong?
Or
King
Mighty
Kong
Joe
is
Young?
such-
That's a gorilla.
King Kong is such an ingrained concept in American media, I feel like, that
She's a little girl.
I know, but like, okay, in my defense... for myself, like, or perhaps to your point, Tarzan was a movie that came out in 1999 when I was 5. Right. So I knew what gorillas were. So maybe you're right. Maybe that's just
maybe she had a Curious George phase and then was like, I'm not really into monkeys.
Well, gorillas are chimpanzees, they're apes, just to be clear. And
no.
Dunstan checks in, another great monkey movie from the 90s.
To be especially clear, a chimpanzee could absolutely still fuck up an adult human, let alone a little girl. I know she doesn't know that because she thinks Curious George is a nice, kind little chimpanzee, and he usually is. But, like, she should be afraid even if he was a chimp, and he's a gorilla. Like, I don't know. I think I knew what King Kong was when I was 5. It was so... It's such a...
Yeah.
It's such a touchstone, maybe not anymore, but like a touchstone of American culture, like I feel like. It was one of the first big movies.
This little girl doesn't know about things. Move on.
Okay, that's fair.
It does change how I feel about her as someone.
You would let the leopard have her now.
I mean, if she doesn't know
Jesus
King Kong...
Christ, I didn't realize she was so uncultured.
Oh my God, it doesn't even have a tail and you think it's a monkey? I should have let the leopard eat you.
It's actually, frankly, it's dangerous to keep her.
What if she had said, I'm sorry, she thought it was a Super Saiyan? Like, she's really big into Dragon Ball. I've been like, kill that weeb.
I love the threat, and I think this carries into next chapter, so I'm probably getting ahead of myself, but I love that Marco and Rachel sometimes occupy this position where I feel like they can be antagonistic to like the other Animorphs, and when they're narrating, they're the little morally sus Animorphs at times, and they always come around by the end of the book towards being on the same page as the other Animorphs.
They're pragmatic.
But I love that they're
stuck in their momentum,
murky territory. And I just think Marco does, as a character, is really good in these moments of being like...
I think it actually ties back into some like really early stuff we said about him having to take care of his dad, being a person who definitely has thoughts of needing to do what needs to be done. And like not having moral qualms about doing what needs to be done, even if it seems dirty or messy.
I think it's that they're survival-based.
Yeah.
People, and so is Tobias. I mean, Tobias, like, even trapped in Birdmorph, even more so, but like Marco and Tobias especially, and Rachel with like her bizarreness in society and being attacked by it all the time. Yeah. They have very survival-oriented brains. They don't have...
It's very easy to see Rachel as extremely aggressive for, like, no reason, but when you really read into the imagery of her books, like, she is being assaulted by society at all times.
What's also weird is that Rachel does sometimes have to be a caretaker for her younger sisters. Like, she's not... But Marco, Tobias, and Cassie are the 3 only children, and I feel like that comes across in a really interesting way because they have completely different like relationships to these things. Yeah,
and Marco's the only one with one parent.
Yes,
but he's a parentified. He was the
parentified minor.
So
where he had
have
to.
That in.
He's a caretaker, but not to children.
Which is such a confusing thing for him, and he's ready to put on his big boy pants, and I feel bad about
it. He has to clean the Cheeto dust. What is it? Cheese ball dust?
The Cheeto dust. Well, that was while he was giving his dad a manicure.
Yes. Yeah.
And because it was like, you really want to get the orange to pop, he figured out that with the, what do they call that? The clear coat.
Oh.
If you just put some Cheeto dust in it, because that orange.
See, I was going to say, I wonder if acrylics stick even better if you put a little bit of Cheeto dust.
A little bit of grit to let the polymers, because if your nails are too smooth. Right, exactly.
Thanks for listening to Anidorks. We'll be back soon with lots more to say. Until the Andalites return, or at least until next time. See you soon!